we're gonna go ahead and off this penny grab Pokemon Catcher and just go ahead and grab like a Nest Ball just to make sure that our bench isn't entirely weak. But if we get this Pokemon Catcher, if we get heads on this, if we get that six heads in one match, bam, we got heads. Give me that Regieleki right up here, and we're going to be able to one-shot this immediately. Got to use the Nest Ball to get no cards in our hand. Let's go ahead and get another Growlithe just cuz. And there we go, 340 damage on a Regieleki VMAXs. We had 3 prize cards remaining, and there we go, boom, KO. Hello everyone, and today we're going to be showcasing a new deck that I have recently discovered with the help of a person on the r/Pokemon TCG Discord, Waffennacht. They came up with this deck here, and it features Hisuian Arcanine and Veluza, which I thought this card was just some random bulk card put into Paldea Evolved, but it actually is a really good early game attacker, and it hits water type weakness. So a really comparable card to having like, you know, a basic that hits, you know, like 120 would be something like Cramorant. Let's go ahead and show that up. Now Cramorant kind of has like a similar effect, you know, like no energy. It's a basic that you can attack going turn 2, but it does 110 but doesn't hit for weakness. Veluza, you have to have no cards in your hand, have at least 1 water energy attached to it, and it hits for 120 and it does hit weakness. Now off the bat, it seems like Veluza would be directly inferior to Cramorant, but its advantages of hitting weakness and doing more damage is actually super important, because if you have a Vitality Band on, now you're hitting for 130 against anything, and that's gonna kill something like Hisuian Arcanine or even Radiant Gray Ninja, which also has 130. It also hits Radiant Alakazam for 130. And those are 130 is a really good number to hit. 110 isn't as good, especially without weakness. Now, if we're hitting like a fire type Pokemon, you know, right off the bat, that's 240. And if we have a Vitality Band on, that's going to go ahead and jump up to 260, which quite won't get something like Skeledirge EX, you know, but it will be two-shotting it, and we'll be one-shotting all the Pokemon underneath it. I wish Veluza did just a little bit more damage, but I think with the games I'm going to showcase to you, you're going to see that Veluza actually really does carry its own weight. Its goal is to go ahead and set up the numbers so that Hisuian Arcanine can go ahead and clean up the rest of the game. Now, Hisuian Arcanine also has a very similar functionality of having to need no cards in your hand, and when you do, for 0 energy attached to it, it does 160, and this hits for fighting type weakness, which is going to go ahead and kill something like Arceus. It will kill both the V and the V-Star unless they had something like Dunsparce, but you know, if they play Dunsparce, you know, good on them, you know. There's not much you can do about that. So we do play some damage modifiers. You know, we have Vitality Band we're playing too. Normally, I think Vitality Band's kind of a bad card, but with the numbers you're hitting on Hisuian Arcanine and Veluza, sometimes you're just a little off. Now, Hisuian Arcanine doesn't do like 170 base, but if we look at something like Lumineon V, with a Vitality Band, Arcanine can one-hit KO a Lumineon V, which is actually really, really good. And we do play Spongy Gloves. Now, Spongy Gloves lets you do 30 more damage to an active water Pokemon on your opponent's side. So even if they're like an EX Pokemon, Hisuian Arcanine can go ahead and start doing like 190. Veluza can start going ahead and doing 150. And it's in here just to try to go ahead and make sure that we can, you know, 1 or 2 shot water type Pokemon, because water type Pokemon are pretty important right now. The Spongy Gloves aren't super crucial. You could go ahead and do any of the other gloves that you'd really like. So there's plenty of other gloves. We'll just go ahead and show all. So we have ones that hit dragons for more. We have one that hit fire for more. Don't know why you really need the fire one in this one. You have the weeding gloves, which is more grass, you know, etc., etc. Go ahead and swap out Spongy Gloves for what your personal preference of glove you would want to do. We also do play Choice Belt because V's are pretty common around here. You know, you're still going to see a lot of V and V star stuff. So it's just good to go ahead and make sure that we can really guarantee 2 shots on VMAXs and such, or even like V stars, because V stars sometimes are a bit of a wall for this deck to go around. Now, what I would personally recommend replacing Spongy Gloves for would be the ones that hit grass type weakness for, and this is because of Masquerada EX. Masquerada can really mess up this deck because it does a lot of spread damage, and they can target pretty much, they hit your Arcanines for weaknesses, they hit, you know, they can go ahead and just snipe Radiant Venusaur throughout the game, and or just gust it up and take a one-hit knockout on it. And once your Radiant Venusaur is gone, it's really the most important thing in this deck. And what it does is that at the end of your turn, even after you attack, so even if you just pass or you attack, Radiant Venusaur's ability still triggers. It will let you draw until you have 4 cards in your hand, and since we're always trying to have 0 cards in our hand, that's a really nice just bam, you know, 4 cards in hand after we've already met the requirement to attack. So Radiant Venusaur is vastly superior in this deck than any other Radiant Pokemon, like Greninja, or even another support line like Bidbarrel, because that has to apply during your turn, not after it. And we don't want more cards in our hand because it makes it harder for us to get our 0 card hand attacks off. There's some other stuff in here that we're playing. We play Super Rod in case our Venusaur is down, or we had to discard some of our other Pokemon, or they get knocked out and such. It's really good. We play Capturing Aroma, Great Ball, and Nest Balls, and Hisuian. So we play a lot of balls in this deck. We don't play a lot of Ultra Balls. You would think normally that you really would want to play more Ultra Balls because you want to be discarding cards from your hand, but sometimes you only have Ultra Ball and another card in your hand, and you're just not able to use the Ultra Ball, and it kind of just becomes a dead card because it's not an immediately consumable item like Pokégears and Capturing Aroma and Great Balls, or even Nest Ball. If your bench isn't full, you can just use it, not find anything, and that's another card out of your hand. So this deck is really wanting to just play trainers, either to get something or just to fail it to make sure that we have no cards in hand. And to 100% ensure that we have no cards in hand, we have, I think this guy's name is called Penny. I'm not sure the actual pronunciation. And Peony, that might be it. It lets you discard your entire hand. Even if you have no other cards besides Penny in your hand, you get to go ahead and discard it and look for 2 trainers. This helps out with consistency immensely. Now we can go ahead and get anything that's a trainer. So that means other supporters, that means Vitality Band, that means stadiums, switches, Pokemon catchers. So sometimes you just want a penny for 2 Pokemon catchers. You know, that gets you a 75% chance to go ahead and gust. If you flip heads on the first one and you still have another catcher in hand, well, I don't really know what you're going to do in that situation, but it does happen. But typically what I'll do is I'll just go find 1 catcher and see if I get it, try to get a knockout on that. Now, it doesn't work every time. So, you know, it's our only gusting option. If you really wanted to play something else besides Pokemon Catcher, we have a Cross Switcher. Cross Switcher, you could just directly replace Pokemon Catcher for Cross Switcher, because the Penny Cross Switchers pull out their Pokemon on their side of the field. You know, that's a good combo that you really could play in this deck. But I found that we can't just play one cross switcher just to get out of our hand, and that's why I like Pokemon Catcher more, because we don't need the two, and it's just immediately consumable. We can just fail it, and it will be inconsequential in some scenarios. We play Pal Pad because we're always wanting to use Penny pretty much like every turn, basically. And once those 4 are gone, that's bad. So Pal Pad effectively gives us 6. And our other supporter, Grant here, we don't actually have to worry about him being in the discard pile, because he lets you discard 2 cards from your hand, and you get to put Grant back into your hand. And what Grant does, it lets you do 30 more damage with your fighting type Pokemon. It doesn't have to be against any like a rule box or anything. It's just a flat 30 damage increase. So Arcanine now takes it up to 190, and we have those damage modifiers. So with just a Vitality Band, you're hitting 200. If we have Spongy Gloves, you know, that's 230. No, wait, that's 220. Yeah. That's 220 right there. So with a Spongy Gloves attached to Arcanine and Spongy Gloves, we can go ahead and knock out something like, if I can remember how to spell it. That's because we're not in the Pokemon section. We're looking for Pal. There we go. Yeah, Pal has exactly 220, and this card is really good right now. So the fact that we can just go ahead and immediately one-shot a Pal, or even a Palkia, just a regular Palkia, is really good against that matchup. So that's why I prefer playing Spongy Gloves, because Pal is just absolutely everywhere right now. So I recommend Spongy Gloves for at least this farm format. But if something like Masquerada or, I don't know, some weird Fortress decks became viable, maybe go ahead and get the Weeding Gloves instead. But for now, I'm just going to be using Spongy Gloves. So, yeah, that pretty much covers it. We're only playing 3 energy because we got 4 energy search. And Veluza only needs like 1 energy to attach. So, you know, like, even if we don't draw into the energy, we have the 4 energy search. So that gives us like basically, you know, 7 energy instead. And we can just whiff energy search if we don't even need to get it. Lost City's in here because we want to basically prevent our opponent from getting their Radiant Pokemon back into play, or anything like key or crucial. Especially against like Lost Box or something, you really want to try to get their really key important Pokemon into the Lost Zone early. We play Pokégear, well, no, we play PokéStop as our other stadium, because most of our cards are going to be like items. You know, a good majority is just items and tools. Unfortunately, tools are no longer considered items. So it kind of hurt PokéStop, but I think largely it's inconsequential because Penny can go ahead and just search out our tools if we need. But PokéStop is just in case that we're like really short on stuff that we need. We really need like Great Balls, we need like an Ultra Ball or something like that, and that will just help us get it right then and there. So I think that pretty much covers up the fish and fry deck, because we're gonna fish and then we're gonna fry. Alrighty, so I guess we'll go ahead and get into some games and see you there. Alrighty, we have our first showcase match right here. Now, all these are pre-recorded. I don't know why that timeline bar keeps popping up, but I wanted to go ahead and try some pre-recorded games so I didn't have to like constantly narrate over every single game I was playing, since, you know, I'm not streaming. Rather just go ahead and be able to like pause and kind of like break down what exactly is going on with this deck by just overviewing some pre-recorded matches. Now, this starting hand we got is pretty bad, but a good thing we're mulliganing, like gonna get a mulligan. And based on their sleeves, we could probably tell that they're going to be a Miraidon deck. And this starting hand is actually a lot better. We got 2 Capturing Aroma, a Veluza, and a Growlithe start. So with Veluza, we should be able to go ahead and at least get some early damage on whatever they put in the active. And we have Penny for our second turn. Unless they're going first. I didn't quite catch that. I think they might be going first, actually. This deck doesn't really care if it's going first or second, because if we're going, yeah, see, if we're going second and they got that Zeraora with 110 HP right now, we can go ahead and Slim Skewer for 120 and knock them out. Now they could retreat and go to the Raikou. We wouldn't be able to one-shot that just yet, so that would probably have been the better play, is just try to tank with Raikou and get some cards in hand. But I've already played this match, and I know that they're just going to go ahead and lead with Zeraora. Now, they did have the Nest Ball to go ahead and get their Miraidon with its ability to go ahead and set up 2 basic lightning Pokemon. And it seems like they went both Regieleki V, so this is a pretty normal Miraidon list, so they're playing the Regieleki version. Now, if they played the Flying Pikachu version of Miraidon, we probably wouldn't have won super easily. But, see, now that we're going second, we can use Penny on the first turn, which means that we can get Veluza immediately rolling right off the bat. Now, we got heads on Capturing Aroma, and we can't evolve our Growlithe just yet. So we're going to go ahead and just fail it. And we got another heads here, and we're just going to fail it for the same reason, because Arcanine is the only evolution that we play in deck. And we're just going to go ahead and Pokégear, trying to get a Grant pulled out of our deck, just so we can have it in the discard pile. See, here we go. We got a Grant off the second Pokégear, and now we can Peony it into our discard pile, which means now we can just discard 2 cards from our hand in order to use Grant. So I just wanted to thin the deck, get Grant in the discard pile, less chances of drawing it. We got the Energy Search, so we can go ahead and get the water onto our Veluza to confirm that we're gonna, you know, immediately knock out this Zeraora. We got the Nest Ball because we really need the Venusaur in order to get more cards in our hand, because if we didn't get Venusaur, we're just like totally dead in the water. We have nothing we can use right now. The only thing we could potentially use next turn is just playing with top deck and Grant, which isn't super amazing. See, we got a switch, so now we can get our Veluza out of the active and swing with Growlithe next turn, or I guess it would be an Arcanine next turn. Let's see. They're like 100% gonna put their Raikou in the active because they know I can't one-shot it with Veluza. They wouldn't do the other Zeraora just yet. They wanted to get another card in hand, but that's really good for us. What we didn't draw was the Hisuian Arcanine, which is something that we absolutely needed. But it's not the end of the world. Now, they could just start swinging with Zeraora again, and that would knock out Veluza, I believe, if they got the 3 energy on there. Yeah, that would kill us. But they're just going to go ahead and swing with Raikou, because they just have the energy for it. They're not playing any Manaphy, so they don't have a way to accelerate energy from the discard pile. They have to rely entirely on Electric Generator, which I don't know if they've actually played yet. I don't think they got any, which, you know, that just happens sometimes. You know, sometimes you get no Electric Generator, and the last one you get, you whiff. So, you know, that's Miraidon. But yeah, this Raikou's going to knock us out after drawing their card. They waited till the very end in order to get the best probability of the best draw off the Raikou. So they went through their deck, got everything that they could, and then drew a card. And that's important. So they have a higher statistical likelihood of drawing what they wanted. And we didn't really quite get what we wanted. So the best case scenario for right now is that we're just going to have to try to use Hisuian Growlithe attack, defensive position, and if we flip heads, they can't attack us. Now, they could gust us and attack something else. If they attacked our Venusaur right now, they probably would have won the game immediately, because I just did not get anything I really needed. So the correct play by my opponent should have been to just immediately gust up my Venusaur and try to take the knockout. But I believe that they did not have bosses, or they wanted to play a different supporter that turn. But honestly, they really should have tried to get the bosses in there. They might have just not had a way to get it, even with their fleet-footed ability. Now we're just going to go ahead and just clear our hand, you know, just for next turn. We don't need to have no cards in our hand to use Hisuian Growlithe defensive posture attack, but I just wanted to make sure we had less cards in hand and to get more off of Sunny Bloom here. And see, next turn we have the Hisuian Arcanine, and our Growlithe is immune to attacks, so they'll have to gust us and not just like retreat. Otherwise it does no. Okay, there's our electric generator. I believe they just go for, yeah, Zeraora. But they're not gonna gust us because I remember. Yeah, not even off their fleet-footed, they did not get a boss. So that's pretty lucky that we flipped heads. We've like flipped heads like 3 times this game, like already, which is like, with the capturing, we kind of wanted to flip tails early game so we could have got more of our bench, but it wasn't like a huge deal. We still had ways to get our Hisuian Arcanine out, and here we go. Is this going to be another heads? It is. In this case, we actually did need to flip heads on Capturing Aroma. So what? That's 4 heads in a row? Somebody run the math on that. That's crazy. I guess I have a lucky coin. All right, and then we can go ahead and just pretty much just discard our hand with a Grant in our discard pile. So we have 2 cards in hand. Didn't get anything off Great Ball. We don't need the Vitality Band, but we can just go ahead and just play Grant. Now we have no cards in our hand, and now we're hitting 380 because they're weak to fighting. There they go down. Got 2 prizes, so now we only need to take 3 prizes, and their Regieleki VMAXs over there are worth 3 prizes. And they're not putting any of the Leafy Camo on, but I don't think Leafy Camo protects you from Pokemon Catcher. I could be entirely wrong about that, but I think it's like only supporters, but it might also be items. So I don't know if you could like cross-switch with them either. Zeraora here is going to do a good amount of damage because it has the boosted damage from us being an evolution Pokemon and them having 2 Regieleki VMAXs out, but it won't be enough to get the knockout on us, thankfully. I think we just barely survived. They needed a Vitality Band. That's why we play Vitality Band, because we don't want to hit 120. We want to be hitting 130. 130 has always been the superior number for at least like, you know, like 1 prize, like basic Pokemon. If they can hit 130, that's great. Yeah, see, they hit 120. So they really needed that Vitality Band on there, but they're probably not even playing Vitality Band because it's kind of like a mid card. But I don't know, Miradon's not that bad, especially for circumstances like this. So we got heads again. We're just gonna fail it because we don't need it. That's another heads. Was that 5 now? It's like 5 or 6 heads. It's absolutely crazy. Bad luck for us in that scenario. We wanted to be flipping tails in evolution or capturing aroma. So we're just gonna go ahead and Pokégear, try to get the Penny, and we got the Peony again. And we didn't really need a whole lot else in our hand. We'll play the Vitality Band just cause, and then we'll go ahead and switch into our healthy Hisuian Arcanine, because anything swinging in the active will just go ahead and knock out our weakened Hisuian Arcanine. It only has 10 HP left. And we're gonna go ahead and off this Penny grab Pokemon Catcher and just go ahead and grab like a Nest Ball just to make sure that our bench isn't entirely weak. But if we get this Pokemon Catcher, if we get heads on this, if we get that 6 heads in 1 match, bam, we got heads. Give me that Regieleki right up here, and we're going to be able to one-shot this immediately. Got to use the Nest Ball to get no cards in our hand. Let's go ahead and get another Growlithe just cuz. And there we go, 340 damage on a Regieleki VMAXs. We had 3 prize cards remaining, and there we go, boom, KO. that cleans up that game. They only took 1 prize off us. Granted, we had the fighting type advantage, but you know, that was a pretty clean game 1, I gotta say. Alrighty, we got game 2 up in here. Let's go ahead and get going on this. From what I remember, they are playing Wo-Chien, which is the grass deck. But the thing about this deck is that they're going to be playing Fortress. And when Fortress uses its ability, it knocks itself out. And that's a 2-prize Pokemon. So that takes us to 4 prizes already. And that immediately gives us a lead on it. And since we're a single prize deck, they almost like certainly cannot retaliate back fast enough. Now, Wo-Chien does do spread damage. It can snipe the bench for 120 if 2 prize cards are down. And, you know, 240 if we only have 2 prize cards left. And that can definitely get our, you know, Radiant Venusaur and stuff. But since Wo-Chien doesn't place damage counters, it does direct damage. That means our Manaphy that we play in the deck will actually prevent them from doing any bench sniping shenanigans. So we basically shut down this deck as soon as we possibly could. And it looks like they discarded a Bid Barrel, so that hurt their consistency a little bit too. Shaman V over here has Revenge Blast, so it kind of combos in with the Fortress and Wo-Chien kind of thing. This is one of the decks you can get on the Battle Pass for free. They give you all the pieces for it. And there we go, we top deck Radiant Venusaur. And now we need to go ahead and try to get some of our pieces. But we're going second, which means we can go ahead and use Peony turn 1. And Veluza, we got the Water Energy. Let's go ahead and use Choice Belt. Now we do have a Pal Pad in hand, so it's like, ooh. That means we cut our Peonies down to just 4 instead of the 6 that we normally would have. But in this circumstance, we're just going to have to get rid of the Pal Pad. We can go ahead and put the Vitality Band on the other Veluza, just to make sure we don't lose those important cards. Get rid of the Pal Pad to use Peony. And in this circumstance, we're just going to kind of have to get more basics on our bench. The main one we're needing is Manaphy. Manaphy will be the most important in this matchup, so Wo-Chien can't start sniping our evolutions and start tanking. Because if they play like Radiant Serena in their deck, they can start healing, and it will make us harder to hit KO. We would probably have to start taking 3-hit KOs. So that's how Wo-Chien really could win against you. But since we play Manaphy, we're really shutting down those plays. And now we went and got Growlithe. So off the Peony, we just got the 2 Nest Balls, so we get Manaphy and Growlithe. We need the Growlithe because it does more damage than Veluza, just to make sure that we can definitely 2-shot Wo-Chien. There we go, we got some stuff. We got Spongy Gloves, but we don't really need them. See, this is another game where maybe the Weeding Gloves might have been better, but I think overall the Spongy Gloves are just a better tool to have for this deck because there's a lot of water type Pokemon out right now. There they go. Off their Ultra Ball, they got the Fortress, and they're going to go ahead and detonate it to get 5 Grass Energies from their deck and onto their field, which means Shaman will be up and ready to go. I don't know if Shaman actually does enough damage with 2 prizes to knock us out. They might. I can't remember if it does. But their Wo-Chien is all ready to go. And their Wo-Chien does like 220, which knocks out everything. It's a grass type Pokemon. Even if it didn't do 220, it would absolutely mop the floor with our Hisuian Arcanines. Yep, see, does 220. Our hand right now is looking pretty good. We got some good stuff off those prize cards. We can definitely get everything out of our hand. We do got the Pokégear, so we can get the Penny again. But we really definitely need the Penny off the Pokégear. So what we can do is we can use Capturing Aroma and Great Ball to kind of thin the deck so we have a higher likelihood of Pokégearing into the Penny. We have 36 cards, now 35 in deck, so we have a good chance of hitting our other 3 pennies in deck. This is why we kind of needed the Pal Pad, so we'd have like an even higher % chance of doing what we wanted. Now we're going to Pokemon Catcher to try to either get the Squawkabilly or Shaman. Shaman looks like it would probably be the biggest problem right now, since it can Revenge KO us. And it's just going to be an easy 2 prizes. Because now we can just go ahead and get the weakened Squawkabilly. Because we'll have Grant. We should have Grant in our discard pile at one point if it was resistant to fighting. Because Arcanine does 160. There we go. Got another Growlithe down on the field. We're just going to have to put Spongy Gloves somewhere. Unless we just like straight up like discard it. Yeah, we can't play Hisuian Arcanine, so we just need to keep it in deck. It's better to keep it in deck than try to discard it with Penny. So there we go. Got Penny. Now we'll have Grant in discard pile for next turn. There we go. We are chilling pretty well right now. We got most of the pieces that we really need. We're just going to go ahead and get an Energy Search and a Vitality Band. Just to try to get those pieces on our field. And I'm just going in and just counting the cards, see what we got in deck. Seems like we have most of the stuff that we needed in deck in order to win. So it's not too big of a deal. So we're going to attach Vitality Band to our benched Growlithe so it doesn't get hurt. You know, because if they pull up the Wu-Chin next, they're just going to knock out our Growlithe and then our Vitality Band is just gone. There we go, 160. 2-hit KO the Shaman V. We got the Fish and Fry right now. We literally did the combo. Bazula turn 1 and then Arcanine turn 2. Use Sunny Bloom. We got Super Rod and Great Ball and Nest Ball. We have the empty space on our bench. Even if they didn't Iono us, we were still pretty good. This makes this a lot easier. Energy Search and Nest Ball. Both cards we can't just fail and just get our hand cleared. And then, you know, we'll have our top deck for next turn. Here we go. Wu-Chan knocked us out for 440 damage because we are weak to grass. Wu-Chan on its own isn't like a super bad deck or anything like that. It's just that they're always going to be behind on prizes. So they can try to Iono us, and that strategy just really does not work against us in that deck. Because we have Radiant Venusaur, because we want less cards in hand, them Ionoing us is generally probably going to help us in the end. So their main strategy of being behind on prizes and Ionoing us just does not work against us. So unfortunately, Wu-Chan just has a terrible matchup against Hisuian Arcanine decks. Here we go. We're setting up the 2-hit KO here on the Wu-Chin. Now we'll do 130 to it. And if we bring up the Hisuian Growlithe next turn, we can get it. But I believe we already had the Grant in the discard pile and we didn't need it in our hand. Because we just wanted to get more. I guess we could have put it in our hand, actually. I guess it didn't really matter. Yeah, we got another Grant, too. Yeah. But putting down another Pineco, I'm not really sure like why they would want to bench a Pineco, because I'm on 2 prizes. If they explode another one, I just like immediately win. See, there they go, trying to Iono us, put 2 cards in our hand, but like it does not matter. Like it straight up just like does not matter. We got the Hisuian Arcanine off that. There they go, knocking out our Veluza. And we got the Hisuian Arcanine in hand, but we have the Ultra Ball, so in order to get no cards in our hand, we're just going to have to go ahead and play Grant to get rid of those. We don't... Sure, losing the Ultra Ball sucks because we can't get our other Hisuian Arcanine out, but like right now, we just need to 1-hit KO this. And I see the opportunity, 200, and bam. There we go. Got the Wu-Chin, and we took our last 2 prizes. Pretty clean game on that one, even with a type disadvantage. Alright, 3rd game here, ready to go. And from what I remember, it is another single prize deck. It's going to be Lunar Rock. And this is a really good showcase match because Lunarok is another one of those single prize decks that you would see going around. The other one being Lost Box. So hopefully Fish and Fry here will be the third single prize deck you see around on the ladder after the showcase. As I'm sure everyone is going to be talking about Hisuian Arcanine. 100%. I will be a trendsetter. Guaranteed. This deck is just too good. Regigigas, horrible. Hisuian Arcanine, absolutely busted. Well, this hand isn't super great, but we got an idea. So we have Manaphy, and we have Energy Search. So what we can do is grab the water energy out of our deck, place down Manaphy, put the water energy down on Manaphy, and then we're going to switch into Manaphy. And just going to go ahead and probably pass here or try to retreat back into our Growlithe. Because we needed a Pokemon or a water energy in our discard pile in order to use Super Rod. So there we go. Now we got more cards for Sunny Bloom. Was the main goal what we really needed. Now we have another water energy and a Pokégear. So either we can just go ahead and just attach the water energy and play Grant and evolve our Growlithe again. Assuming that they don't one-shot us. Now it is possible for Lunarok to go ahead and knock us out here. So if they got that play, it would have just been immediately game over. So it's not a super one-sided match. Like, Lunatone does have things that it can do to Hisuian Arcanine decks that, you know, can disrupt us or kind of mess with us. You know, they could always just boss our Radiant Venusaur. But unfortunately for them, they didn't have, like, a Professor's Research and, like, 3 energy in hand to go ahead and grab the other Soul Rock, stuff like that. I think they're just thinning their deck by placing the Choice Band. It's not going to do anything, and they're probably not playing Vitality Band. Not like it would fix their numbers anyways. They would just be going it. So we got another Energy Search. Kind of don't really need it. There we go. Got the Peony off the Pokégear. Gonna go ahead and evolve our Growlithe into an Arcanine. And we definitely have an out to just getting what we want. Now, I guess we could have played the Energy Search, but I guess it didn't matter. Now we can go ahead and Nest Ball and try to set up more KOs. We basically really need to take the first knockout in a single prize match. If we don't have the first knockout lead, they're gonna start. They'll just win mathematically because they don't need energy on their Pokemon. They'll just keep on getting it from the discard pile. It's very similar to Gardevoir EX's strategy. It's basically Gardevoir EX with no rule box Pokemon. And a little bit less tricks too. Unfortunately, Lunarok has just gotten pretty nerfed. Not having Scoop Up Net is just the biggest nerf to this thing ever because you can only use one Soul Rock once. So the max energy you can accelerate from discard pile is 4 per turn. Now with like Scoop Up Net, you would have been able to scoop it back up, put it back down, accelerate another energy. So you would have been able to get more energy on Lunatone faster than you would have now. Because I don't think there is any way to get it off the vent. Maybe you could try like, I don't even know if Super Scoop Up is even here. They flip a coin if heads, put a Pokemon into your hand, discard all cards to it. So I don't even think that card's here. So it's not even like an option Lunarok can do. Now they very well could just go ahead and revenge KO us right here. See, they got the Raihan, putting a card in hand. They have energy in the discard pile. Or no, they actually didn't. Oh, that's bad. They had no energy in discard pile at all. So they're probably going to have to get something off the Raihan in order to try to get that. Because they're going to need to try to start cutting down our Pokemon faster than we can set them up. Which they could do. But I guess they just had a really bad draw. So they'll have to have 3 energy on their Lunatone to knock out our Arcanine, because it does 30 damage for each psychic energy attached to it, plus 30. So, yeah. Wait. 30, 60, 90, 120. Well, do they only need 3? They might need 4, actually. Yeah, I think they need 4 energy on there to even, like, one-shot it. And they only have 3 Soul Rock in play. Yeah, so they're just going to Cycle Draw again. They might have been able to do it. Yeah, I was questioning about it. I'm like, were they really not able to do it? Because now we're going to have a 2 prize card lead. Now it's just, like, unwinnable. And we got the Lost City, and my goal is to go ahead and place down Lost City, grab the Greninja, because I know they want to play down PokéStop, because Lunarock always wants to play PokéStop. So I won't suffer the consequences of Lost City like they will. Now we got the penny off the Pokégear. And what we're going to do is just go ahead and try to get a Pokemon Catcher, gust up the Radiant Greninja, and put it into the Lost Zone so they can't recover it. Because if we cut down their Radiant Greninja, that hurts them getting cards in their discard pile, and that hurts them from drawing more cards. So if we get the heads on this, it's pretty much game. Now we're just going to go ahead and just pull out a Super Rod, just to make sure that we have, you know, more energy for Veluza. And making sure that we have, you know, all our attackers up and ready to go. Alright, we got heads. Let's go ahead and bring the Radiant Greninja up. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about maybe like a Soul Rock to try and nerf their energy attachment, but I think I quickly realized that it's going to be irrelevant. We just need to shut them down from getting more cards. Now we're just going to Super Rod the 1 energy back in deck, because a lot of them were prized. Veluza and Arcanine can get the KOs, so I figured that Veluza would just be a little stronger in this matchup, because I just have to get the water and don't have to evolve, and I still knock out. I knock out everything that they play, even the Greninja in 1 hit. And I know most Lunarocks don't play any like Mewtwo V or V Stars anymore. I know the starter one that you got at the beginning of the year did play, you know, Mewtwo V Star, but I just feel like it's just more bench space, and it's a bigger liability that they can gust. With single prize decks, you generally don't want to play stuff like Lumineon or any other V supporters. The only one that really does do that is Lost Box, because they'll sometimes play Dragonite V, which hits for 240, and then, you know, they could put a Choice Belt on there and start doing 270, which is not the correct number, but it gets stuff done. So yeah, that's pretty much the only single prize deck you'll ever really see that plays like V or EX Pokemon in them. Because generally the goal is to try to make your opponent take all 6 prize cards the hard way, or try to do spread damage. But we have Manaphy in our deck, so they can't really spread damage as well as they normally could. Now, could Lost Box easily Lost Mine most of our Pokemon? Yes, but all of our evolution Pokemon and Veluza have 130, and Radiant Venusaur has 150. So they cannot Lost Mine KO anything that isn't 1 Manaphy or 1 Growlithe. So, and that's why we also play Lost City, because we want to try to get their Sableyes gone. Because if we cut down their Sableyes and their Radiant Greninjas, either one, depending on what pace of the match is, that's really important. But see, we're talking about a lot of Lost Box versus Lunarock, you know. They're putting up a good fight. They're trying. They're knocking us out. But it's just that we took 2 prize cards before they even took their 1. They just got their first prize. And here we go, attacking with Veluza. We got another one on bench, ready to go. I really need to get another like water energy off my prize cards, so I can attack with my next Veluza. But we have another Arcanine, down, which doesn't need energies. There we go. We got the water energy from deck that we put in earlier. They're gonna try Fog Crystal, just get another energy out, because they really do need the 4 in order to get us. It is really nice that Veluza does have, you know, a good amount of HP, because, you know, not even Crams with a Vitality could even knock us out, because they only do 120. So I really like Veluza having 130. It's really good. I don't like that it has a retreat cost of 2. That seems a little ridiculous. I think Veluza is supposed to be kind of like a fast Pokemon, so I don't even know why Veluza has a retreat cost of 2, and something like Lunatone and Solrock have 1. It's really strange, because generally they're pretty consistent about fast Pokemon having less retreat cost and slow Pokemon having more. Like Radiant Venusaur over here has a retreat cost of 3, because Venusaur's not super fast. There they go. They got their 4 Soul Rocks on their bench, which means that they can accelerate 4 energy per turn. Now I think they're just trying to show off, showing like how much damage they can do per turn. But it might have been just smarter just to try to spread the energy across the board, in case I start trying to get their Soul Rocks. Go ahead and attach the water energy to Veluza. Energy Search. Fail it because there's no more water energy in deck. And then we can go ahead and Arcanine. We have the Switch in hand, so we have to go to one of our Arcanines on bench. We don't get any Peonies, but it's fine. We'll go ahead and knock out. We're not going to play the PokéStop because we don't want any junk that we can't use right now. Just going to go ahead and just focus on taking each prize one by one. Now we only need 2 prize cards left, and we have 2 attackers on our bench ready to go. There we go. Now that PokéStop is really awkward. We have a Grant in discard pile, which is really good. So whenever they're playing the same stadium as us, I don't think we can replace it with the same stadium. So we really needed Grant in our discard pile. So that's a really good showcase of what Grant helps out in the deck. Not only does it make us do more damage, it helps us get cards out of our hand that we just can't get rid of. It gets rid of those really sticky cards. And now, of course, we could always just Peony and get rid of the PokéStop that way. But the play with Grant is there. Now, what I think they probably should have done at this point in the game is tried to get another knockout and then put the Radiant Venusaur in the active, just to buy them some more time. But I really couldn't. I couldn't like really switch. I think I played all my switches. So if they got my Radiant Venusaur in the active, I would have been stuck. But I don't think they're playing like really much of anything else. They got their other Lunatone down, but we had that 2 prize card lead, so it would just be impossible for them to make a comeback right now. Because now we're just going to take it one by one. We could either push up the Veluza or the Hisuian Arcanine. Either are going to take the knockout on the Lunatone, regardless of resistance. So yeah, we go with Hisuian Arcanine. We got 2 Great Balls. We can just use those right then and there. We're going to go ahead and use Pal Pad, just get the 2 Peonies back in deck, just in case we need to use them again. Because we do have the PokéStop in hand that we can't get rid of. I believe what I do here is just I play a Great Ball. I get something out of my deck just to give me the higher odds of searching the Peony. So we have 2 Peonies. I think we have 2 or 3 Peonies in deck, and we only have 19 cards. So yeah, the likelihood of us getting a Peony off the Pokégear was really high. Now, could I have played another, another like Great Ball? Probably. I could have. It's just that what if I drew into a Nest Ball or something? Then I would have a full bench. So I was a little scared of playing both of them. I think I just do it anyways. Just to like, even if I got something, I would just intentionally fail it. Just checking what cards we have. I think this is when I realized that I have no more rods in deck, so I don't have. I would have to just attack with Arcanine because I just don't have like any more energy left in deck. But we just started really running out of resources here. We just have a lot of like search tools, but not a whole lot of stuff to search with. Just needed to get Vitality Band out of deck. It's not really doing anything for us this match, so it's just dead cards. Yeah. So we had that one last water energy in our prize cards that had been haunting us this whole match. Because we're out of rods and our other water energy is in deck. So yeah, we didn't even have a way to get another Hisuian Arcanine. But they needed to figure out a way to prevent my Veluza from attacking and knocking out my Arcanine, which I just don't think was possible. Yeah, I chose not to use Sunny Bloom because I already have Peony in hand, and I'd just be discarding stuff from my deck anyways. And, you know, obviously you don't want to, like, deck out. So, it was just, it didn't matter what I did in that situation. I can just literally just do nothing and attack. Yeah, another thing that hurt Lunatone was the removal of Quick Ball. That definitely hurts it too. Because now you have to play Ultra Ball, which makes you discard 2 cards from your hand, which sometimes would be better, but you pretty much only play basics and no evolution, so Ultra Ball is just kind of worse. Because then you might have to be discarding like supporters or like items you might want. You're not always going to have all the energy in your hand. Now with like, you know, Crystal and Energy Search, you definitely could. But Luna Rock definitely wanted to play Quick Ball over Ultra Ball. Or both. Both would help. That could just be your super consistency. I don't know, that seems like a little over the top. Yeah, see, they went and bossed my Veluza, which I guess was fair, but I only have 1 prize card left, and my Arcanine can just, yeah. I think they realized that I could just end them right then and there. So yeah, that was a really good showcase of another popular single prize deck versus the Hisuian Arcanine, and I think largely Hisuian Arcanine just fares a lot better than Luna Rock in this current format. Alrighty, and there we have it. We go ahead and just showed off a good amount of games, you know, with our Fish and Fry deck, Hisuian Arcanine. I was really impressed by this deck, and I'm so glad Waffennacht showed me this list. I took one look at it and I thought it was mid because it played Veluza, and I thought this card was just a joke. But with just how consistent and how fast and aggressive you can be with this deck, it's so much fun. And it's not, I'm gonna be honest with you, this isn't like just a budget deck. This is a deck that actually carries its own weight. It has tricks, it has plays. It's something people need to look out for. Because once people realize that Hisuian Arcanine and Veluza actually are really good partners with each other, this is probably the second best single prize deck out there. Now, I would say Lost Box is a little better, and unfortunately, I didn't get to play this deck versus Lost Box. Out of like the 15 games I played yesterday and today, I didn't run into a single Lost Box match, and I really wanted to showcase Hisuian Arcanine versus Lost Box, because I think we could actually, you know, fare well against them. It might be one of your worst matchups. Now, We do have like the 130 HPs, you know, that's hard for Lost Mine to happen, but I think overall we definitely could be Lost Box with this deck. And this is probably my favorite single prize deck out right now. So I'm so glad that we have a deck like this in this format that works and is consistent and hits the right numbers we need. I've tried so many decks here recently and I haven't been able to get anything to work at all. So my boy Hisuian Arcanine, you really did me proud today. Alrighty. Well, go ahead if you want to suggest any other decks or lists you might have, go ahead and drop them in the comments. I always read all the comments, you know. I go through, I'll like and, you know, reply back if it's, you know, something I want to say too. So yeah, I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye.